It's nice on the eyes, and it's light. It's not.
The white with the colors is kind of nice. Yeah, and I like that these aren't necessarily like positive and negative, that they're, you know, positives on either side. Yeah, and it kind of worked out where like this was the central area where everything happens. These is where you make the choices, but then I would constantly reference these, or, you know, if I was having trouble making a decision. Final thoughts. What did you think of Fog of Love as someone who really probably knew nothing about it?
The components from what we saw are going to be amazing.
And those are just prototypes.
Yeah, like he has put so much of himself into this game, and it shows, I think, the final product. I think that this is a game that he could probably get to the table a little bit easier if I've had a longer day, just because the theme is so light. You know, even with Pandemic, it's like I'm not saving the world right now. We're just like watching a fun romantic comedy play out before us. And
so even though it's actually it's a heavier game than Pandemic, in a way, it'd be easier to get to the table.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because one of the things that I liked about it as more of, I mean, I don't want to say I'm more of the gamer. I mean, because you're quite a competent gamer. But I mean, I'm the one that thought that this board game review was a good idea.
I would never play Dark Souls.
Although, no, this is actually a more complex and complicated game than Dark Souls. Theme, right. That's what's so interesting, is that actually for the gamer of the two, it's a more complex game. There's a lot of moving pieces, which is really good considering its target audience and its theme, because its target audience is 2 players, bottom line. And really, realistically speaking, I would say it's 2 people that are in a relationship.
I can't imagine like you and Brad sitting down to play like Fog of Love.
No, you couldn't. No, I mean, the person that this is going to be really great with is someone that you know really well, like which could just be a good friend.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
But also someone, I think the game is going to benefit from being played multiple times the same 2 people.
Yeah.
And we have games like that. Like Star Wars Rebellion is kind of like that, where it's like there's like a meta game or whatever. And this game definitely has that, where I can see playing it with the same person again and again being really good. And then what I'm trying to get to, but I'm interrupting myself, is that it's super interesting how one person, or both, or neither, can really break it down mechanically and think to themselves, okay, like, there's only so many turns, and I need to get X amount of, tokens here, and, and really think about it in those terms. And the other person can think about it purely thematically, and they can still both get a really fulfilling experience. At first, I was a little like, I almost felt like I didn't know how to make good decisions. There were times where I was just like, I'm going to make the decision thematically, right? And then there are times where I made the decision more from like a gamer standpoint. At times, like with some of these scenarios, or these scenes that are so not optimal necessarily, that you then revert to making a thematic choice. And so I just think that's nice. Where there are some games that if you don't want to break it down on that sort of mathematical level, you're going to hate it because you're going to think it's just random and you're not going to understand why bad things are happening to you. That'd be like trying to play Trois if you just wanted to like play by this. You can't do it, you know what I mean? Like, or a heavy Euro, any heavy Euro, right? Yeah. But this game is so interesting because you can play it that way, and you as an individual can get a benefit out of it, and your partner might benefit. But your partner doesn't need to be like encumbered by you being like, well, you see, if you go here, you know what I mean? Because you
can't really alpha game.
You can't alpha game
in that.
No,
which I think also has been a big, not so much with us, but I know that we have friends that have, like, their significant others feel like they're constantly being alpha gamed when they play with their board gaming partner.
Right.
And I don't think you can alpha game.
No, you can't.
Which is beautiful. Like,
because
really
the other person's holding cards that you can't see. You don't know what their secret objective is.
Yeah.
And so you can't say, okay, you should do this, and you're forbidden from telling them what you need. Yeah. But you can still try to be like, all right, this is what should be done. And the other person can just play it thematically. And like I've said before, if you know your partner, and this is where 2 people who know each other well comes in. If you know your partner and you know they're going to play it thematically, you as the gamer can play things knowing, okay, I know that my partner's going to choose this because they like pirates, right?
Yeah.
Or if you're really into there's almost like a RPG in a box element to it, where if you do think that you're going to be into the storytelling of it, then that can also sort of drive your tactical decisions. Yeah. Which reminds me of like that whole exchange between the players. I'm sure you've heard me say many times that no board game comes close to the way in which a role-playing game is a sort of co-telling of a story where you don't have any, like you have an idea of what you want to have happen, but then other people interact with it and then something else happens. Yeah. This actually comes way closer than other games that attempt to be an RPG in the sense that like, I'm trying to get this outcome, but because you have your own outcome, this, you know, this strange, so I think that was, I really like that aspect of it, where it's like, you might put that gift out there, but then it might not be a gift, right? And so I will say though that if you are, I think that if the idea of getting into the story and telling the story and really playing your character, I could see that putting some people off.
Yeah, I can too, but I think it was like perfect for us.
I think it's perfect for us, and it could honestly be perfect for a lot of sort of mixed gamer couples, right?
Yeah, but yeah, you do have to, I think, be into, I mean, because there's silliness required in it, and so you have to be willing to be silly, and I know that, like, I definitely know some board gamers who I don't think would appreciate the, like...
At first, I was sort of feeling like I didn't have enough to go with as to who I was, but then, like you were saying, it all kind of came together at the end. I mean, I don't think that my character was fully developed until the end of the game, which was amazing. I mean, I'm really interested to see if it holds up that way every single time, because if it does, that'll be really cool.
Yeah, it's like it keeps you excited.
Yeah, you know,
like what's going to happen next.
Right.
And then going back to just like what you were saying about the options, one thing that I really liked is that sometimes the cards where it's just you choose and there's no negative consequences, because I think that if it was every single time you're trying to read like your partner and you're trying, there are these like stakes, it was nice to kind of have those relaxing cards every once in a while where you had some control to get something that you needed and to tell your partner something about you as well.
I don't know. This is mostly for Kickstarter backers, so you know, it's not really like a decide it before you buy thing due to the nature of Kickstarter. But I think it's living up to what it was originally pitched as, which is a game for couples that was a gamer's game. And that's interesting because as much as, like you said, you think you could get it to the table more quickly and more easily, but yet it's not what I would call an intro game necessarily or a lightweight game. It's still a pretty heavy game. And that's where I think also the tutorial is really useful because it's a heavy game that might be easier to get to the table due to its theme.
Yeah.
But it's not like King Domino. It's not a lightweight intro game. Like there's a lot of meat to that game.
Yeah, and I think that the tutorial thing too is smart because a lot of, you know, especially if you're not the gamer in the relationship and you constantly hear your partner explain rules to you, you know, like there's something nice about learning the rules together, which usually happens, you know, because reading a rule book isn't the same as playing the game, but to actually be figuring out the game together and not feel like, I think that goes into the alpha gaming thing almost in and of itself again, because you are both on an equal playing field and one person does not somehow know the game better than you right out of the gate.
Because what happens, I don't know if you can, if in the video we'll try to show how they are placed in here, so that as you go through and you turn this over, it's like, oh, here's another tutorial card, and it refers to specifically what's about to happen and keeps the game going.
I really appreciated the tutorial mode because I feel like a lot of the times what happens when we get a new game is like we'll pull it out of the box and then Brett will sync into the rule book and I'll turn on like the TV while he does it to wait for him to figure out how to play the game, and then by the time he's figured out how to play the game, you know, that took up an hour, and then, you know, you think you know how to play the game, but then the minute you start playing the game, there's all these other questions, and then before you know it, a game that could just take you 30 minutes has taken you 2.5 hours, and it's late, and you want to go to bed, and or I want to go to bed. And so this was nice because both of us could just start learning it right when we took it out of the box together, and there was none of that lag time or time for, at least me, for my game playing motivation window to close, because sometimes it's very short.
It kind of made learning the game fun because it actually made me feel like it reminded me of like a legacy game. And in a legacy game, obviously there's the element where you're like, rip up this card or, destroy the city. But there's also the thing that happens where it's like almost exciting to get a new card and, like the whole game is different now. And so it's cool that there's a legacy expansion, but also even this opening scenario isn't really a legacy game, but it has that feeling of it feels like the game is changing as you're playing it because secrets weren't a thing and now they're a thing. And it is nice because in a way that there are a lot of rules, but actually it's really very simple. It's like you have 5 cards, you play one, somebody makes a choice, and then there are outcomes, and the outcomes are split between these and your happiness. And so bottom line, the game just, I think, went into production, and so they'll be producing it, and then it'll be on the boat soon. Are you excited?
I'm pretty excited. I think that the night that we get it, I'll want to play. Yeah. Unless I'm super, super exhausted. But I think when we finally get it, at least open it and look at the board, which... and see all the components and stuff.
I'm also very excited. I can't wait to see what the future expansions are, especially if they give you a little bit more theme. Also, not just put the bug in the, put it out there to some of the other backers. I think there's a lot of room to people to make their own scenarios even out of the cards that come in the box. I mean, a lot of stuff is going to come in the box. Yeah. So I'm excited too.
Yeah, and I think it was worth the wait. Even though I didn't know that we were waiting. But I'm excited now.